There's a strange moment that happens in personal growth. It's that moment when the old version of you stops working, but the new version of you hasn't fully formed yet. You start noticing something. External validation doesn't feel the same anymore, right? Praise doesn't hit as strongly. Criticism just doesn't land as deeply. And for a while, that space can feel unsettling. But what's actually happening? Dot. Welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of Unfiltered Soul Shifts. Today, we're talking about becoming the self who no longer needs proof, the one that no longer needs external validation. So, we'll start here. Did you know that external validation is a trap? Think about that question now, and it just sounds so loaded, but it's not. Because most of us, when we grew up, we learned to measure our worth through proof, right? Some sort of proof. Proof that you're doing well. Proof that we're liked. Proof we're succeeding. Proof that the path we chose is the right one. Ultimately, that's how we learn as we grow up. School says proof. You need to work, you need to make so much money, you need to have a house, a car, all these boxes that we end up needing to tick. But living this way creates a fragile identity because the moment that proof disappears, so does the certainty. And then growth often removes the very validation that we relied on. Another concept often taught by Neville Goddard. Now, I touched on some Neville Goddard teaching in our previous episodes. Do yourself a favor, just go back and have a quick listen, because it sets us up almost for this episode as well, right? So, another concept is living from the end, right? Without all of the pressure, obviously. But it isn't about pretending that everything is perfect, it's about identity, alignment. If the future version of you is calm, grounded, trusting, then living from the end means practicing those states now, not forcing the outcomes, but by embodying trust. Now, when you start on this road or on your journey, whatever you may term it, embodying trust becomes a challenge, right? Especially if you are in a place where that trust had been broken. But something really discussed in many circles, manifestation circles, spiritual circles, healing circles, before your identity can expand, it collapses. Your old roles start falling away. The things that used to motivate you stop motivating you. They stop working. Old ways of proving yourself start losing meaning. Now, I'm sure many of you know that when things start losing meaning, then you start questioning yourself, questioning what you do. And it's very, very easy from that point for things to start spiraling, because it's at that point that things can start feeling confusing, right? Because your old identities really starts being stripped away from you, and it's being stripped to your core, to your values, to your belief, to who you actually are, and then to who you actually want to become, right? And it's that space in between. That's what it is. It's actually space that's being created for that next version of you. Expansion requires that identity release. And lots of people don't talk about it. We don't talk about that confusion. We don't talk about the messy middle. We don't talk about where you're letting go, but that let go is of so much, and not always tangible, but it's of so much. And it's at that point that your nervous system starts recalibrating and needs to start to trust you to recalibrate. Because trust isn't intellectual, it's a physiological thing. You can tell yourself over and over again, I trust life. But if the body still expects danger, the nervous system will continue to stay vigilant. Real trust shows up as slower breathing, relaxed decision making, less urgency to control your outcomes, less need to respond. It's finding comfort in self, finding comfort in silence. Trust is not passive, it's a regulated confidence. So when you're in this version of you who no longer needs proof, some people might start reading it as detachment, but it isn't detachment. It isn't detached from life and your everyday going on. You're actually so much more deeply engaged with it. The difference is you're no longer measuring worth through outcomes. You trust your direction, you trust your becoming, and most importantly, you start trusting yourself. Until next time, beautiful souls, just remember the strongest identity is the one that no longer needs proof. Because living from an end means embodying your trust now.